Hello, good morning, good morning. Today is Friday. It's Friday and it's the last day of January. Gotta get the lighting here, right? Lighting, people. Lighting. Okay, so good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. One last day to make something happen this month of January. A lot of big things happening. Next week we launch Glow Up Academy. And yeah, a lot of stuff to do. Got to get some sponsors, get some people, etc. Write that down. Write down a note. Okay, so we have a really big show today. Another really big show. And the theme of today is ... pushed past your limit. And this comes from today's Darren Hardy. And the question is, this comes from Jordan Peterson. Today's Jordan Peterson. Who knows what happens when you are pushed past your limit? All right, I got to put that in red letter. Who knows what happens when you're pushed past your limit? So Jordan Peterson talks about that. Who knows what happens when you're pushed past your limit? Okay, that's our theme. Our introduction is this is our daily podcast, our daily workshop, our daily opportunity to talk, etc. Thank you, Mark Rowland. To help each other, help one another in our journey through this life, because we are social animals and we do better when we work together. Like in the tuft of flowers, all men work together, whether alone or apart, something like that. So we come here each day for the purpose of getting the most out of our journey through this life with our transcendent soul, but it's also the community. It's being one with the other people here, building a tribe. Right, that's what we need to do, is build a tribe. Why? Because it's necessary, because we're humans. Okay, good morning, what not a bevy. How is you today? Blessed. I knew that. How did I know? The theme of today was almost going to be right thinking. Right thinking. I was going through that, because we're made of non-human parts. But that started getting a little bit too deep, and I want to hear more about that. So it started getting a little bit too deep, and then Jordan Peterson popped up with what happens when you get pushed past your limits. What happens when you're pushed past your limits? That's interesting. There we go. Wow, cool, Daddy-O. So let's move on. Advice from an 80-year-old. Be brave and courageous. At the end, you'll regret the things you didn't do more than the ones you did. more than the things you did. Cool. Be brave and courageous. Right. And does that fit in with the idea of we have a transcendent soul? What happens next is a function of what we do now. If we're brave and courageous now, should that, can we expect that it will have benefits to us in the future? What do you say, Wadabevi? If we are courageous now in this life, and courageous implies good behavior, not risky behavior. If we're courageous, so that has to do with meaning and purpose. If we are courageous in this life, should that have a positive impact on the next step? And I agree with you. I agree with your agreeing. So we're in agreement that we agree. Definitely. We definitely agree that we agree on what we happen to agree on. Okay, cool. What else we got today? So what happens when you get pushed past your limit? Let's revisit that later. Advice from an 80-year-old we just talked about. Be courageous. Be bold and courageous. Not just courageous, be bold and courageous. Cool. Ba-boom bum. Seth Godin. Where'd he go? Okay, who stole Seth Godin? This is kind of interesting. What's for breakfast? What's for breakfast? Peter Drucker didn't say culture eats strategy for breakfast, but reality rarely gets in the way of a good quote. Culture eats strategy. Okay, but what does it mean? I think what not Drucker meant was that MBA tactics will always be subverted by the power of systems. So what not about you? Systems. And that systems disguise themselves as culture. What are things like around here? So a more accurate statement of the fictional quote would be, systems eat tactics for breakfast. I think we can relate. Right, Wanabebi? We can relate to that because we are still trudging. Well, we're not even halfway through. We're still trudging through strategy, right? Definitely. Okay, so let's get back to Seth. Systems eat tactics for breakfast. Maybe that would have been a better subtitle for my book. What's the book? I'm going to click on the link. It's probably, yeah, this book. This is strategy. Right. Okay. P.S. I was on Tim Ferriss' podcast this week. You can see 500 of my video podcast appearances here. Wow. I'm going to click on that link. In the words of Harry Truman, 42% of all the quotes on the internet are misattributed. That's a good one. According to Harry Truman, 42% of all of the quotes on the internet are misattributed. Right. That one is misattributed. I'm going to save this Seth Godin one to my podcasts. Seth's blog. Boom. Bink. Bonk. Babooba. Babooba. Okay, good. It's over there too. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So we're getting rid of these. What the heck is going on? So I'm just going to get rid of both of those. Good morning, Matticus von Atticus. I understand the cops were at the property again last night. All right. Well, I say if everything else is equal, tactics win over skill. But I think if you take somebody like Dave Schmack who has tremendous skill, and he has no tactics. You just throw him in. His skill, you give him a weapon. His skill with the weapon will hit the target. Okay, yes, they were there at about 11 o'clock last night. Interesting. Okay. What else we got on our hit parade today? So Jordan Peterson said it was very good. Today's TED Talk, Viktor Frankl, Pursuit of Happiness. Happiness cannot be pursued. It's not a thing you find. You have to cultivate it. So if you're not happy, you're not cultivating happiness. Knowledge is not a thing to find. It's a thing to cultivate. And wisdom is not a thing to find. It's a thing to cultivate. Meaning and purpose is not a thing you find. It's a thing you cultivate, etc. Okay, so let's talk about this. Who knows what happens when you are pushed past your limit? Right, past the breaking point. Past the breaking point. Who here has been pushed past the breaking point? I will say me. I can think of at least twice. Once when I was lost in the jungles of Costa Rica, when I was about 22. Maybe I just turned 23. Yeah, I was around 23. A couple months before, a couple months after. After walking through the jungle for a whole day, it's dark at night. You can't see anything because the starlight doesn't come through the canopy of the jungle. And there are strange sounds. And at that point, you don't know which way is north, south, east, or west. But you know which way the mountains are going, sort of, just kind of by memory. We walked up this hill, it's over there. Probably if you turned around 10 times, you wouldn't know which way was which. So that was pushed past my limits. And I decided, okay, just breathe and be prepared. Be prepared for the jaguar to come out of the jungle in the middle of the night. Make sure you're not the first person the jaguar attacks. Okay, well, I guess it didn't, so because I'm here. And the second time was in solitary confinement. After I think 10 days, maybe longer. Yeah, push past your limit of extreme boredom, nothing to do, can't go anywhere, locked in a cage. You don't know what day or time it is. Naturally, no one will speak to you. Nothing to read, nothing to write with, just with your memories and your imagination. And one's imagination can really take them places, good or bad. So what happens when you get pushed past the limit? So I think it's worth finding out. I think the Indians and natives, indigenous people all over would have their initiation ceremonies of going from boy to man or whatever, where you have to do things, a walkabout, or what the Indians did, some kind of thing where you had to go out there and demonstrate that you were no longer a kid. Yeah, right. So think about that. What happens when you push yourself past the limit? Maybe it would be a good exercise to think about that and think if you had not done that, where you would be. And my hunch is you'll say, you know what? It was horrible. It was bad. It was traumatic. I wouldn't want anyone to have to go through that. But because I went through it, I am better for it because I would have been that person over there. And yeah, my life might have been easier, but it wouldn't necessarily be better. And then going back to our advice from an 80-year-old, be bold and courageous. You can say the easy life is not a blend of easiness, right? The good life. The good life is be bold and courageous. At the end, you'll regret the things you didn't do more than the ones you did. All right. So no Diana today. Hopefully she's well. Also, reach out to Miss Trinkle wherever you are. And anybody got anything else they want to do? Because we're kind of in the Goldilocks zone, a little bit beyond it. So, important thing next week, launch of Glow Up Academy, GUA. Glow Up Academy launches next week. So we need to really get on the ball, on the ball, on the ball. And I guess with that, 16 minutes in, we'll say and cut. I can finish up the Peloton, already done 20 minutes. I'm going to do my bike ride, my meditation, and yoga. But I think in closing, the key, the secret is creating better habits, building better habits. And that comes through repetition, repetition, repetition. And below the habit thing of moving things from conscious to unconscious behavior is to have always try to do a little bit better every time you do a thing. Every time you do a thing, do it just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit. Do that subconsciously. Make a habit of trying to do each thing you repeat a little bit better every time, not just go through the motions, but consciously try to make the unconscious behavior a little bit better, and then unconsciously try to make the unconscious behavior a little bit better. I think that's the key. That's the secret sauce. Okay, that we're going to say and cut. Bonk, bonk, bonk.